Morning traffic moved slowly near the college junction. Students filled the sidewalks, some rushing, some laughing, some unaware of what was about to unfold. A black luxury car advanced through the narrow road, its presence naturally forcing space in the crowd. Inside sat a powerful businessman, known in public as a clean, elite CEO, but in truth, someone far more dangerous. Natapong Sirasak. At the junction, his driver misjudged a turn in the tight traffic. The car stopped abruptly just in time, as an elderly man crossing the road stumbled back in shock. No injury, only a moment of panic. But the street erupted anyway. Voices rose, people gathered, tension spread. Before it could settle, a sharp voice cut through the noise. "Are you blind?" A college student stepped forward, anger already burning in his eyes. He first helped the old man steady himself, then turned toward the car. "You could have hit him," the driver tried to explain, but it didn't matter to him. The situation was already judged in his mind. The businessman stepped out calmly. No rush. No reaction. Just control. That calmness only made things worse. "Your driver almost killed someone. Is this how you people behave?" The student snapped. Before anyone could intervene, he grabbed the businessman's collar. The crowd froze. The driver stiffened, ready to step in, but a silent gesture stopped him immediately. There was no anger in that gaze, only understanding. The mistake had been careless, not intentional. A wrong turn in a tight space. Nothing more. Still, the boy didn't see it that way. For a moment, the grip tightened. Then, slowly, it loosened. Something in that silence felt heavier than any argument. He let go. Breathing uneven, he stepped back. "Control your driver next time." No apology followed. Just lingering frustration. The man adjusted his collar calmly. "Let it go," he said to the driver. No anger. No defense. Only finality. He returned to the car. But before the door closed, his eyes lingered on the student for a fraction longer than necessary. Still standing there. Still defiant. Still unafraid. The car moved. Yet the image didn't leave his mind. Unusual. Not respect. Not irritation. Curiosity. Phi was back to normal life. In the college corridor, he walked with his friends, backpacks slung over one shoulder, laughing lightly as they talked about random things. "You were so serious in class today, Phi," one of them teased. "Unlike you, I don't sleep with my eyes open," he replied casually, making them laugh. The morning incident wasn't mentioned. It was just another normal day for them. Classes passed, lectures dragged on. And by evening, everyone was ready to leave campus behind. At a quiet cafe not far from the college, the atmosphere was warm and relaxed. Phi sat with his friends again, this time more tired, sipping his drink while listening to them talk nonsense. But then, his eyes froze. Across the cafe, the same man from the morning, sitting there like he owned the space without trying. His grip tightened slightly on the cup. "Why is he here?" he muttered under his breath. His friends noticed. "What?" Phi exhaled slowly. "That guy from morning. The driver incident." He kept it short, not wanting to make it a big deal. But his tone already carried irritation. On the other side of the cafe, Natapong Sirasak was there for a meeting with a friend. He wasn't searching for anyone. But somehow, his eyes moved, just once. Then again. Not obvious. Not intentional. Just drawn. The same boy was there. Still sharp. Still visibly annoyed. His friend, Mick, noticed it immediately. "You keep looking at him," Mick said with a lazy smile. "Don't tell me you're interested in some college kid now, Nat." A faint pause. Then Natapong replied calmly, "Morning incident. He was there." Mick listened as he briefly explained what happened. By the end, Mick laughed. "So you finally met someone who doesn't care who you are?" No answer came at first. Then, casually, "He's just a college boy. Leave it." Conversation shifted. business, normal topics. Controlled again. But his attention didn't fully leave the cafe's other side. Phi noticed it too. Those brief glances. The same calm presence that irritated him even more now. He didn't like it. At all. After a while, both groups stood up almost at the same time to leave. Outside the cafe, the evening air was quieter. And then it happened. A shoulder bumped into another. Phi and Natapong crossed paths. No apology came. Not from him. Not from the man either. Just a second of eye contact. Tension. Recognition. Silence. Phi walked past without looking back. Natapong turned slightly, watching him leave. Behind him, Mek smirked. Still think he's just a college boy? No reply. But the gaze didn't move away immediately. Something had already started shifting. The next day, college was louder than usual. A special guest event had been announced, a business collaboration seminar for selected students. Phi didn't want to attend. But his name was already on the list. So he went. The venue was modern, full of students and a few high-profile guests. Everything looked organized. Too organized. Phi stood near the entrance, clearly uninterested, hands in his pocket. Until he saw him. Same presence. Same calm control. Natapong Sirasak was there again. This time not as a random visitor, but as a guest speaker. Phi's expression immediately turned colder. Why is he everywhere? He muttered. Before he could step away, a staff member called his name and guided him toward the elevator area to take him upstairs for a briefing. And then Natapong entered from the other side at the same time. The doors closed. Silence. Just the two of them. No escape. Phi exhaled sharply, looking away. Natapong noticed it but didn't react immediately. Instead, he observed him quietly, as if trying to understand something not written in any report. The silence stretched. Too long. Phi broke it first. Do you follow students everywhere like this? His tone was sharp, slightly rude, no filter. A faint pause. Then Natapong finally spoke, calm as always. Do you always talk like this to everyone? That question made Phi glance at him briefly. Same expression. No anger. No offense. Just observation. Phi scoffed lightly. Depends on who I'm talking to. Another pause. The air between them tightened, not loud, but heavy. Natapong tilted his head slightly. Interesting. That one word made Phi more irritated. What's interesting? But no answer came. Instead, those eyes stayed on him a little longer than necessary. Not threatening. Not soft. Just focused. The elevator finally slowed. Doors opened. Phi stepped out first without hesitation. But before leaving completely, he glanced back once. Natapong was still inside. Watching. Still quiet. Still unreadable. And somehow, still thinking about him. After the elevator incident, something quietly changed. Natapong kept thinking about Phi more than he should. Someone bold enough to argue with him. Repeatedly. Without fear was unusual, so he looked into him. Quietly. Within days, information reached him. Phi was the son of a normal businessman. Not rich, not poor. Final year college student. Focused on career. Sharp personality. Short temper. Natapong closed the file slowly. Interesting. A few nights later, Phi's friends dragged him to a bar. I'm warning you first, he said while sitting down. Don't force me to drink. I become terrible after alcohol. His friends laughed immediately. You always say that. One drink only, Phi replied seriously. Everyone agreed. Which turned out to be a lie. The atmosphere grew louder as the night passed. One drink became two. Then another. And eventually, Phi completely blacked out. He sat slumped against the couch, head tilted back slightly, eyes barely open, while his friends continued drinking around him, without noticing how bad his condition actually was. Upstairs, Natapong had just finished a late-night meeting. Tonight he looked different. Dark hoodie. Different hairstyle. No expensive suit. No businessman image. Beside him, Mick suddenly stopped walking. Nat. A grin slowly appeared on his face. "Your boy is here." Natapong frowned slightly and followed his gaze. The moment he saw Phi in that condition, his expression darkened. Without another word, both walked downstairs. Mick tried asking the students what happened, but none of them answered properly. Completely drunk, he muttered. While Mick handled the others, Natapong sat beside Phi quietly. The unconscious boy barely reacted when he was gently pulled closer. His head rested naturally against Natapong's chest. A hand slowly brushed the messy hair away from his forehead. Then suddenly, Phi weakly grabbed the front of the hoodie, unconsciously holding onto him. That small action made something shift in Natapong's eyes. He stared down at him silently for a moment before murmuring softly, "You're making me crazy, Phi." Phi's eyes opened slowly. The ceiling above him was unfamiliar. The room was silent, too large, too expensive. He sat up quickly, confusion hitting hard. Where is this? Fragments of last night returned in broken flashes. Alcohol. Noise. Warmth. Someone holding him so he wouldn't fall. His breath slowed. Then he noticed it. Loose shirt on his body. Not his. His eyes widened slightly. No way. Embarrassment hit instantly. Did I sleep with someone? Carefully, he stood and walked outside. At the dining table, Natapong sat calmly with coffee. Phi stopped a few steps away. "You? Why am I here?" he asked, voice low. "I brought you here," Natapong replied. "Your friends were worse than useless." Phi looked down, embarrassed. A pause. Then his voice dropped again, unsure. "Did we? Last night?" No answer came. Natapong took a slow sip of coffee. "Don't drink next time." Phi frowned. "What?" "Don't tell me what to do. I can handle myself." That line changed the air instantly. Natapong's expression darkened slightly. "Yeah right," he said coldly. "I saw how you handled yourself yesterday." He placed the cup down harder than usual. "You didn't even know who was around you. What if something bad happened?" Phi had no answer. The tension stayed heavy, but no more words were exchanged. Later, he walked toward the exit. But as the door opened, he froze. Outside stood several men in silence. The moment Natapong stepped behind him, they lowered their heads respectfully. "Good morning, sir." Phi's expression changed slowly. Confusion replaced embarrassment. "Who exactly is he?" A few days later, Phi was returning home late at night after visiting a friend. The streets were unusually quiet, almost unnaturally still. Then, footsteps echoed behind him. Phi slowed slightly. The footsteps slowed too. His expression tightened as he turned around. 3 unfamiliar men stood beneath the dim streetlight, silently watching him. "What?" Phi asked coldly. Nobody answered. One of them stepped closer. Phi immediately shoved him back. "Stop following me." The tension snapped instantly. One man grabbed his shoulder while another moved toward him. Phi reacted fast, throwing a punch before pushing another man away. But while he was focused on the men in front of him, another figure quietly moved behind him. Something metallic flashed beneath the streetlight. The man raised his hand. Then, crack! A violent sound echoed through the empty street. Everyone froze. The man behind Phi collapsed instantly. Standing there was a tall figure in a black zipper hoodie, the hood covering most of his face. One hand loosely held a metal bat. Even without seeing clearly, Phi recognized him immediately. Natapong. Cold silence filled the street. Natapong slowly stepped forward. He's not someone you touch. Quiet. Calm. Terrifying. The remaining men immediately backed away, before disappearing into the darkness. Natapong let the bat fall beside him, before finally looking at Phi. Are you hurt? Phi stared at him for a moment, before letting out a slow breath. Thanks for saving me. No response came. Then Phi looked at the hoodie and bat again. You look different at night. A faint smirk appeared on Natapong's lips. Do you notice me that much? Phi immediately looked away. That's not what I mean. The tension strangely felt lighter now. After a short silence, Phi spoke again. I don't know your name properly. I'm Phi. Natapong looked at him quietly. I know. At that moment, Phi realized. This man was far more dangerous than he imagined. After the fight that night, Phi kept thinking about Natapong more than he wanted to. Nothing about that man made sense. The next morning, while heading to college, Phi noticed people gathered near a small roadside house. An elderly man was arguing desperately with his landlord. You haven't paid rent for months. Before Phi could step forward, someone else reached first. Natapong. Dressed simply in black, he walked straight toward them without hesitation. I'll pay everything. Don't bother him again. The landlord's attitude changed instantly before leaving. Little by little, the crowd disappeared too. From a short distance away, Phi quietly watched not speak to the old man. I'll help you find better work, he said calmly. Until then, don't worry. The old man thanked him repeatedly. Phi stood there silently. Then suddenly, their first meeting flashed through his mind. Maybe I misunderstood him. That afternoon, Phi was crossing the road after class, when someone suddenly walked beside him at the same pace. He turned slightly, and paused. Not. Same black clothes. Hands in pockets. You really appear everywhere, Phi muttered. You noticed, Not replied calmly. Hard not to. For a moment, neither looked away. Then Not suddenly asked, You always walk home alone? Phi frowned slightly. Why? Be careful next time. The words immediately reminded Phi of that night. After walking a little further, Phi finally spoke again. You know my name already, but I still only know yours. Because other people say it. Not. Simple. Direct. Then Not looked at him again. Give me your phone. Phi blinked. What? Your contact. Phi hesitated for a few seconds. But in the end, he slowly handed it over anyway. And somehow, that small moment felt like the beginning of something dangerous. Natapong was walking toward his car, when his eyes suddenly met Phi, standing outside a bar with two friends. For a second, both stared at each other, then Not changed direction immediately, and walked straight toward him instead. Mek quietly followed behind. Phi looked slightly surprised. What are you doing here? We need to talk, Not said calmly. Before Phi could answer, Mek casually introduced himself to Phi's friends, and naturally pulled their attention away. Phi sighed softly. I'll come back. The moment they walked away, Not grabbed Phi's wrist and pulled him into one of the private rooms inside the bar. As soon as the door closed, Not looked at him coldly. Why are you here? Phi frowned. To drink. How can you be this careless? Not's voice lowered slightly. Did you already forget what happened last time? Phi pulled his hand away immediately. I already told you, he said in annoyance, I can handle myself. Stop telling me what to do. Then he walked out before Not could answer. When Phi returned, his friends were already sitting with Mek. Phi sat beside Mek on long couch. A second later, Not came out and sat beside Phi too. Quietly, one of Not's hands slid around Phi's waist, pulling him slightly closer for a moment. Phi immediately glared at him and removed his hand. But Not only looked ahead calmly. After one drink, Not didn't let him touch another glass again. Still, as the night grew later, Phi became sleepy, unconsciously leaning against Not. Beneath the loud music and dark lights around him, Around 10, Mac finally stood up. "I'll handle them," he said while motioning toward Phi's friends. Not only nodded. Later, he quietly brought Phi back to his house and made him sit on the couch. "Drink this," Not said while handing him something to sober up. Almost half an hour passed quietly. By the time Phi opened his eyes properly again, he realized he was leaning against Not's chest, and Not had fallen asleep beside him while waiting. Phi stared at him silently. "Why do you always stay beside me? Why do I keep looking for you too?" Something inside his chest suddenly felt too heavy to ignore. Before thinking further, he slowly leaned closer and kissed him. Not's eyes opened instantly. Phi immediately tried to pull away in shock, but before he could, Not grabbed him and pulled him closer again, then kissed him back. Natapong entered the hotel quietly, black hoodie covering his head. The moment he stepped inside the private meeting room, silence spread instantly. Without hesitation, he walked straight toward the man from that night. The same man who almost touched Phi. Slap. The sound echoed sharply across the room. Not looked at him coldly. "Never touch him again." Then he calmly took his seat. One man frowned. "Why don't you just focus on your business and stay away from this?" Not leaned back slightly. "And why would I answer you?" A few minutes later, he stood up and left first. The moment the door closed, another man spoke quietly. "We need to get rid of him somehow." But nobody answered immediately. The next afternoon, Not waited outside Phi's college again. Phi entered the car silently. After coffee at a quiet restaurant nearby, Not suddenly spoke. "Stop drinking." Phi immediately glared at him. "There you go again. You still don't understand how dangerous that was?" "Nothing happened. Because I was there." The answer made Phi quiet for a second before he frowned again. "You keep acting like I can't protect myself." Not looked at him calmly. "Can you?" Phi leaned back slightly. "You really underestimate me." A faint smirk appeared on Not's face. "Then prove it." Not long after, Not's car stopped outside a small private training center. Phi looked around suspiciously after entering. "This place yours?" Not only nodded once. The moment they stepped inside the empty gym, Phi immediately threw the first punch. Not blocked the punch immediately. "That all?" he asked calmly. "Shut up." Phi tried again, faster this time, managing to push Not back a step. A faint smile appeared on Not's face. "Better." Phi grabbed his wrist and tried pulling him off balance, but Not turned the situation around quickly instead. The fight became faster after that, neither willing to back down. Phi managed to break free once and shoved Not hard enough to make him stumble slightly. "You were confident earlier," Phi said, slightly out of breath. Not only looked at him calmly, then suddenly grabbed his arm again. This time both of them lost balance and fell onto the floor together. Phi reacted instantly and tried pushing him away, but Not caught both his wrists and pinned him down before he could move again. Their breathing had become uneven now. Phi glared at him. "Get off." Not didn't move. Instead, he looked directly into his eyes and asked quietly, "Still think I underestimate you?" Phi tried pulling his hands free again. Not held them tighter. Then he lowered his head slightly and said, "I won," and kissed him immediately. For a few seconds, neither of them moved. The gym became completely silent. Not slowly loosened his grip first and moved back slightly, still sitting on the floor beside him. Phi immediately looked away, trying to calm his breathing. "You really use every chance to win, huh?" he muttered. A faint smirk appeared on Not's face. "You challenged me." Phi immediately pushed against his chest again. "That doesn't mean you can just kiss people." Not looked at him calmly. "But you kiss me first." Phi instantly went quiet. The reminder made his ears burn slightly in embarrassment. After a moment, Not finally stood up first and offered his hand toward him. This time, Phi stared at it for a second longer before taking it. After leaving the training center that night, Not quietly dropped Phi home. Neither of them mentioned the kiss again. But the silence between them no longer felt awkward. A few days later, Phi arrived at a company building for internship selections. The moment he entered the interview room, he noticed Not sitting there too. Calm. Perfectly dressed. But unlike the others, he barely spoke while the interview was handled professionally by the HR team and senior staff beside him. Even so, Phi could still feel Not watching him sometimes. Later, after officially getting selected, Phi walked through the office hallway, only for Mek to suddenly appear beside him. At the same moment, Not stepped out of his office nearby. Mek looked between both of them before smirking. "You two are getting dangerous to watch." Phi frowned immediately. "What does that even mean?" "Nothing," Mek said casually. "I'm just saying the office atmosphere changes whenever both of you are around." Not gave him a cold look. Mek only laughed and walked away. Within days, Phi had already started adjusting to the office environment. One day, he was sitting alone in the cafeteria. One of the female employees approached him with a smile. "You're the new intern, right?" Phi nodded politely. The conversation stayed simple, but the girl clearly looked interested in him. Unfortunately, someone else was already watching. From the glass office upstairs, Not quietly looked down at them. His expression slowly darkened. A few minutes later, just as Phi was walking back toward the elevator, a hand suddenly grabbed his wrist. Before he could react properly, Not pulled him inside his office and shut the door behind them. Phi blinked after getting pinned lightly against the wall. "What are you doing? Don't get distracted." A teasing smile slowly appeared on Phi's face. "Why? Are you jealous?" Not looked at him calmly. "No. Why would I be?" "Then?" "I'm saying focus on work." Phi tried not to smile. "By the way," he said casually, "she was sweet." For the first time, Not's eyes darkened visibly. Then he stepped closer. "Too close." "Phi," he said quietly, "don't test my patience." The teasing expression on Phi's face disappeared instantly. "Shut up." Then he pushed past him and left the office immediately. That evening, after work ended, Phi walked home alone without noticing. The black car parked quietly across the street. Inside the dark car, someone slowly lowered a photograph of him onto their lap. A cold voice finally spoke. "So this is the person Natapong keeps protecting." Phi's office life looked normal on the surface. Files, laptop work, meetings, short breaks with colleagues. But something felt wrong every time he stepped out. Sometimes he noticed a black car near the road. Sometimes it was behind him for a few seconds before disappearing. He frowned a few times, but never told Not. One evening, Not dropped Phi home after work. The driver was quiet. "You're overworking," Not said calmly. "I'm fine," Phi replied, looking outside the window. Not glanced at him briefly. "Be careful." Phi didn't answer. A few days later, after office hours, Phi stood outside the building with his colleagues, waiting to leave together. They were talking and laughing lightly. Phi stayed slightly behind, checking his phone. That's when he saw it. A black car parked across the road. A man inside was clearly visible. He was looking straight at Phi. Not casually. Not randomly. Directly. Phi frowned slightly but said nothing. Before he could look again, his colleagues started walking, and he followed them. From a distance, Mek also happened to be leaving the building. His steps slowed when he noticed the same car. He saw the man inside. The man was still staring at Phi. And then, his eyes shifted. He noticed Mek watching him. A second of silence. Then the car started immediately and drove away fast. Mek's expression darkened slightly. That night, Mek entered Not's office without knocking. Not looked up. "What happened?" Mek's voice was serious. "We need to talk." Not leaned back slightly. "About what?" Mek paused. "I think Phi is being followed." Not's expression changed immediately. Mek continued, "I saw someone outside the office today. Black car. The man inside was clearly watching him." Not's voice lowered. "Are you sure?" Mek shook his head. "Not fully." Silence filled the room. Mek added, "Not. You need to be careful. Don't involve Phi in all this." Not's eyes hardened. "What do you mean?" "I'm not dragging him into anything. I'm more worried about him than you. Since the last incident, Mac stepped closer. Then why don't you stay away from him? Not stood up. His tone sharpened. Watch what you're saying. Mac didn't back down. He's just a college boy. He came here for internship. He has a life. This could ruin everything for him. What if something happens? I'm handling it. Mac stared at him. And if you can't? A pause. Then Mac turned away. Fine. If you already know everything. He left. Later that night, Nott sat alone in his office. For once, his expression wasn't calm. It was thinking. Heavy. Controlled, but disturbed. Phi called him. Once. Twice. Nott answered. But his voice was distant. I'm busy. The call ended. Phi stared at his phone for a moment. Something felt wrong. Outside his window, a black car passed slowly again. One night, Phi was walking back home. The streets were quieter than usual. His footsteps echoed lightly as he turned into a narrow shortcut. Then, a hand grabbed him. Before he could react properly, he was pulled into a dark, empty side street. 3 to 4 men in suits stood ahead of him. Phi's breath tightened. What? What are you doing? He asked sharply. One man stepped forward. We don't want anything from you. Phi frowned. Then let me go. The man continued calmly. We heard you are close to Natapong. Phi's expression shifted slightly. Tell him to stay away from our business. Let him handle what he is doing. Phi frowned in confusion. I don't know what you're talking about. If you have business with him, talk to him directly. Or his manager. A few men laughed quietly. Another tilted his head. So you really don't know what kind of business we're talking about? Phi glared at him. What do you want to say? Before he could react, a heavy blow struck him from behind. Not enough to kill him, but enough to send him crashing onto the rough ground. His arm scraped hard against the surface, blood quickly forming across his skin. One of the men immediately shouted, What are you doing? If he dies, Natapong will bury all of us here. Another stepped forward nervously. But then, a loud impact echoed through the street. Someone had arrived. Natapong. Mac stood behind him, tense and alert. Phi slowly lifted his head, eyes widening. Nott didn't answer. He walked forward calmly, removing his tie with controlled movements. Then, he moved. Fast. Violent. One by one, the suited men were thrown down before they could even react. Mac shouted from behind, trying to control the situation, but Nott didn't stop. His focus wasn't the fight. It was Phi. Within moments, silence returned. Only broken breathing and injured men remained on the ground. Nott walked straight to Phi and carefully helped him stand. His voice was low. What do you want from him? He looked at the men. Deal with me. Then coldly. You always act like you own this city. But you don't even deserve to call yourselves human. One man raised his voice weakly. We were just talking. We only wanted you to stay away from our business. Nott's eyes briefly shifted toward Phi beside him. Deal. I will stay away from your business. But you stay away from him. His voice dropped lower. Otherwise, even the air won't know you existed. Fear instantly filled the space. The men slowly backed away and began leaving. But one man, the one who hit Phi, tried to run. Nott moved immediately. He grabbed him and slammed him to the ground. Before anyone could react, his fists were already coming down hard against the man's face again and again. No hesitation. No control. Only rage. Blood stained the pavement. Phi's breath caught in his throat. This was not the Nott he knew. Mac rushed forward and grabbed Nott, pulling him back. Stop it. He'll die. Nott suddenly turned and grabbed Mac's collar. His voice exploded. Then how dare he touch Phi? Even Mac froze. Even the injured men stopped moving. Nott's breathing was heavy as he slowly turned toward Phi. For the first time, his expression softened. He walked over and pulled Phi into his arms. No words. Just holding him tightly. Like he was afraid of losing him right there. After everything ended, Nott took Phi back to his home. Mac arrived a few minutes later, but stayed outside, not interrupting. Inside, silence felt heavier than words. Nott immediately called a doctor, not for himself, but for Phi. Phi sat quietly while the doctor treated his arm. Only after finishing, The doctor looked at Not. You should get treated too. Your hand is badly injured. His knuckles were bleeding, arms scratched from the fight. But Not didn't respond. I'm fine, he said simply. Phi frowned immediately. If you want to take care of me, then take care of yourself first. You're important to me. That made Not pause. Then he finally agreed. Later that night, Mick left. Phi was lying on the couch, half asleep. Not slowly walked closer. When he reached out, Phi suddenly flinched and opened his eyes, panic flashing in them. His body reacted before his mind. Not froze instantly. His hand stopped mid-air. Phi didn't look at him. What are you doing? He asked quietly. I was just going to take you to the bedroom, Not said softly. Phi shook his head. Don't worry. I'll go myself. He stood up slowly. But Not grabbed his arm gently. Phi. Tell me the truth. Phi stopped. Not's voice lowered. Are you afraid of me? Phi finally looked at him. I am not, he said quietly. But I'm worried. He hesitated. What if I do something wrong by accident? Will you do that to me too? Silence filled the room. Not pulled him into his arms, holding him tightly. Phi, he said lowly. I love you. Phi's eyes widened, turning teary. Not didn't let go. I never lose control on weak and honest people. You should know that. I've always cared about you. I would never force anything on you. A pause. If you want to leave, you are free. I won't stop you. Phi's voice trembled. I also love you. But I'm worried for you. If you promise me you'll stay away from danger, that's enough. I'm not asking you to change. Just don't lose yourself. Not slowly nodded. No more words. Just understanding. Phi leaned closer first. And kissed him. Not pulled him closer immediately, holding him tightly as the moment deepened.
Thank you for watching. For more BL stories like this, please like and subscribe my channel.